这里是社交光谱，我是莱特，欢迎来到泰勒20年的精华大课蓝图解码 2.0。那么想要了解课程的一个更新动向，请关注我们的公众号社交光谱。开始我们今天的内容，社交媒体的时代，如何成为一个有影响力的意见领袖，以及如何通过个人的魅力和能量来感染他人。
Saying here is that a couple points. A, if you want to be a social media influencer, the biggest thing these days, if you want to know the truth, is volume of content. I hate to say it, but it's kind of true. Okay? That's one aspect. So to be able to make a lot of postings with your list, you've got to be able to communicate. But remember this, most of your lists, they like you as a person. Whatever you talk about, they want to watch. I've got people who I follow that I think are awesome. Whatever they're going to talk about, I'm going to watch them. You know why? Because in my mind, through the computer screen, they're my best friend. Anybody here feel that way about different people you watch? So when you're watching that and you're creating content, just remember, a lot of people, they like your energy. They like what they're getting from you energetically, and the content is just an excuse. One great example, I think maybe one of the best ever, is Anthony Robbins. Anthony Robbins is perhaps the greatest motivator in human history. And yet, if I were to ask you right now, what are the 6 human needs? Can anybody here even name his most basic teaching? Okay? Certainty, uncertainty, love, significance. You guys remember this, the 6 human needs? It's his most basic teaching. We all love Tony Robbins. Who doesn't love Tony Robbins, right? The world, he is beloved across the world, except apparently with certain factions these days that write nasty articles about him. But aside from because, he's too positive or whatever. But the point is right, well, positive energy is going to attack negative detractors. But the main point being, such a positive, inspirational person, a world-class motivator. But when you watch Tony, you can't remember the 6 human needs. But you just know this. When you watch Tony, for some reason, you want to go get something done. When you watch Tony, for some reason, you want to defy the odds. You don't even know why. You just do. You're going to defy the odds. Tony Robbins even has incantations. He teaches it, Unleash the Power Within. I can't remember. Like I said, I can't remember them, but I remember some. It's like, defy the odds. I'll be the voice. I'll create, not destroy. Step up, right? Well, so do you remember any of the rest? I can't remember. They're so good. Yeah, set the standard, right? You know what's funny? When you look at those basic things he teaches at UPW, his event that he does. Set the standard. Be the voice. Create, don't destroy. What was the other one I said? See, we can't even remember. What was the other one? I will believe and not doubt. I don't know, whatever it was, right? But what's funny is, you can't even remember. I've been to his event. Okay, think about that for a minute. Half of UPW is just yelling that. It's literally just like, I'm the voice, right? Time number 2000. I'm the voice, now jump. I'm the voice, right? And that's we can do that here if you want, pick one, right? But what's funny, if you actually look at those incantations, it works. I went to one of his events in 2004. My next one I went to was actually 2014. I went to UPW Later Date with Destiny. And what was funny about it was I saw those incantations from UPW 10 years later. I hadn't even thought about them. I was like, wow, I've really lived that to a very high extent compared to what I would have. This guy subconsciously programmed me. Well, what's funny is this. When you look at Anthony Robbins and you look at his energy, because bring it back to you. When you look at Anthony Robbins, you look at his energy, he embodies those things that he teaches. You don't even have to say it, you just feel it from him. So when he talks, you just feel that. I hope that what you feel from me is this kind of devil-may-care attitude of sort of, I guess you'd almost call it a reverence. You guys ever feel, when you see me, you feel sort of like, do you guys know the word irreverence? It means that you just have fun, just doing what you want, and you actually might even find negative feedback almost as funny. You see that? When you see me, can you imagine me out having, some approach that I did, doesn't go so well, and not only does it not bother me, but I actually kind of find it hilarious, right? And when you watch me, just from my demeanor, you probably get some of that energy, right? You feel like you can kind of step up, you can beat the odds, you can do what you want, you can be who you want to be, you can express yourself, you don't need to worry what others think so much. That's a lot of what I teach. So just watching me talk, ideally, I hope you're going to be getting that vibe from me. So whatever I'm going to talk about, whether it's my drive here, whether it's about my fingernails, see, I'm talking about my fingernails, but am I really talking about my fingernails? Or is what I'm doing is I'm actually, by talking about so many aspects of the fingernails and being so expressive and being so into it and even into myself, almost like narcissistically kind of wanking it to my own fingernail story, right? I had one of the best compliments I got from a girl I'm dating. She started watching my videos. She's like, I feel you look like you're wanking yourself off the screen. I was like, thank you. That is such a wonderful compliment, right? Self-love, right? So I remember, so when you're watching me, you're getting a piece of my energy. It doesn't matter that much what I'm talking about. So if I'm talking to somebody who I'm meeting or who I'm networking, I don't view it that it really matters what I'm talking about. If they like that energy that I have, if they think that's cool, they like that kind of energy, they're learning unconsciously, right? You're learning unconsciously from seeing me speaking to a group of people and just having the balls to even do what I do. Do you know how much like how just sort of like the audacity that I have to even like put out YouTube videos and be like, it's Owen. What we're going to talk about today is this, as if it's so awesome. And then be like, now you're going to come to hear me talk in a room and you're going to pay me, right? Like there's an audacity to that. Then I'm going to go approach all these people and they're all going to think I'm awesome. And the ones that don't, I don't care, right? There's something to that. You're like, this guy's crazy, man. What is this guy's out of his mind, right? But then you're like, I could do that. I could do that too. When you're out, say, a big one is letting go. When you can just let go and not care what people think and be yourself and just pump energy, it makes other people feel like they could also let go. That's the power behind it. They feel, I could let go too. So a lot of what you're doing, in my mind, let's say that you're gonna make sales. Let's think about some of the energy that you wanna show in making sales. You wanna have a sense of urgency. Part of why I'm really effective at sales is that if you look at the way my energy is, not in all my speaking, but in a lot of it, particularly if I'm doing sales, I put in this crazy sense of urgency. Have you guys ever seen that? Did you guys see the first couple sales videos that I did for this event? When I do my sales video for this event, do I go, here's some sales training for you. Do I go, hey, what's up? It's Owen. You know, really been enjoying creating the new 4-day self-help event. I think you get a lot out of it too. So if you want to sign up, just check it out. See you in there. Now, here's what's funny. There's a side of me that is like that. For any of you guys that know me outside of seminar speaking, that's what I look like a lot of the time, right? You know, you'd see me, you'd expect me to be like, what's up? Let's go, come on, right? And I'm just like, what up? You know, you're like, Tyler! I'm like, what's up? Like, what are we gonna do? We gonna run through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man? I'm like, I'm chilling, bro. You know, right? You're like, you just look like a normal guy, right? But I know how to switch that on because if I'm speaking in a way that's hyper urgent, okay? Then I make a video about it, which is a sales video. If that feeling of urgency, we need change, we need to move, we need to be bold, that's a lot more leading towards somebody putting their credit card into a sales processor than being super chill, right? I have people who I've worked with that are too chill. I've rarely seen salesmen that are ultra laid back. I know they exist. There's always an example of something. It's like the drunken kung fu master, right? Most people doing kung fu drunk, bad. But there's always that one drunken kung fu master that totally, he's going to do even better kung fu wasted because he's the drunken kung fu master. You know, there's always like that super anomaly guy that isn't sharp as a tack, right? But most great salesmen, you know who they look like? You ever seen the guy that does straight line persuasion, Jordan Belfort from the movie The Wolf of Wall Street? First thing he says in sales training is you've got to look sharp as a tack. Sharp as a tack. Like you know within a millisecond, the second that video comes on, whether or not this person's worth listening to and whether or not they know their niche and what they're going to talk about. What I do, by the way, a little trick, we'll get into this later. You want a quick practical tip? When I start my videos, I give myself 3 entry points to get to being sharp as a tack. Here's what I do. Hey, what's up is entry point number 1 on the video. It's Owen is entry point number 2. The company I'm from is entry point number 3. And what we're going to talk about today is entry point number 4. This is for post-production, for editing, okay? What I'll do is when I hit the note, like when I lock in, that's where I start the video. If you watch my videos, I mean, it's pretty intense, okay? When you see it, because it looks like I'm that switched on all the time. I'm not. But if you look at it, look at the running start that I would gain. Okay, watch this, okay? Say we look at like just the most recent sales video. So on this one, I go in on what you're gonna, let's see what I went in on. What we're gonna be doing right now is shooting into the first. So we start at what we're gonna be doing right now. That was my starting point, watch. Okay? Now, right now, even as I'm sitting here, look how hard it is to start with that crispness in the voice. What we're gonna be doing right now, do you see how hard, try saying that, what we're gonna be doing right now. See if you can get it as crisp as I have it in the video. It's hard. I can't even do it, but I just want you to try it so you can see how hard it is. Okay, try it right now.
What we're going to be doing right now.
Right?
What we're going to be doing right now.
What we're going to be doing right now is shooting into the first preview of Now watch. Okay, pause. Okay, so watch. So watch this, okay? Watch how crisp it starts off. Shooting into the first preview. What we're gonna be doing right now. Okay? Shooting into the what we're gonna be doing right now, right? It's hard to get in that crisp. Sometimes I do. Usually you'll be that crisp when you're in momentum. Right now, I'm beginning to get in momentum. We're at the start of our event together. So for that reason, I'm beginning to get motoring, right? A couple hours in, I'm gonna be in full swing. I'll be in full flow. So if I'm doing a video, I need a minute to get to that energy. So what I'll do is say, hey, what's up? It's Owen from Rsd. And what we're gonna be doing right now. At one of those 4 points, I'm gonna crack in. So if I get it on, hey, what's up, I'll leave in the hey, what's up, because it came in crisp. That's classic Jordan Belfort right there. Because I know, look, I'm not gonna reshoot the middle point of the video over and over. And I'm not gonna necessarily reshoot the end, although that is the second most important. The beginning is the most important, the end is actually the second most, because it leaves the impression that the person leaves the video with. But I'll tell, so that one I also view as high priority. But the start of the video, that's gonna determine whether or not you're buying yourself a couple more seconds for people to watch it, right? Anything that you're doing in communication, you're basically just trying to buy a couple more seconds. Everything you're doing, you're using sales to get them through the first 5 seconds. You're selling them on the next 10 seconds. You're selling them on the next minute. You're selling them on the next few minutes, okay? You're selling. Why is that? Human beings, we have limited time and energy, and for that reason, we're always trying to save time and energy. So if you're not being sold on paying attention in that next bit, it's not gonna work. Even the introduction that I gave you here today, that there was sales. Do you understand that? That introduction that I gave you is sales. I'm trying to get you to buy in and lock in for the next 4 days. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that paying attention for the next 4 days will help you. I mean, you need to think about this. I've got 4 days of your time and your money right now. That is a lot of resources that I'm getting for me. That is no joke. I just got, the money that you gave for this is nothing. Think about the time you gave for this. What could you have made money-wise in that 4 days? Your life is a limited time span. What could you have done in that 4 days? There's so many things you could have done to not be here. Do you know how hard it is to get someone to give up that time? There's so many, think of all the videos that you could watch. You know one of the main things I do with my instructors that I do all the time? It's pretty vulgar. What I do is I load up a porn site, okay? And I leave some crazy sex scene running. And then what I do is I put their video beside it. And I say, until my staff is watching your video over this, you gotta redo this. Okay? I view it, if I'm making a video, I view it like you have literally unlimited amount of adult film on the internet that people can watch for free. And they're gonna watch you. They can be watching world-class athletes, political commentators, and getting themselves all riled up and angry. They could be, they could be watching a bunch of negative clickbait news to fulfill their low vibration energy needs. They could be watching something inspirational. They could be watching a Hollywood production. How are you gonna get them to watch you? So there's other aspects of that. I'll get into that later. We're gonna build that together. But the first one is, you've just gotta get it to the point where they're even gonna pay attention. So I know that in that first few seconds, they're very, very liable to switch that video off. So what I'm gonna do is I've gotta get them through a 30-second to 90-second intro, and then jump to some other jump cut. In the past, I would use infield, and then get them through that. And now what you're doing is you're adding good energy. Then what you're wanting to do is get them into a trance. And I'm not saying some crazy like super hypno trance or anything like manipulative, but you wanna get them, like, have you ever been even maybe watching like an infomercial, like proactive skincare, and you just don't turn it off? You ever done that? Because you're kind of in like a light level trance, you're kind of just going with the energy, maybe a music song. You want to get it to where they're just in a trance. Any of you guys here watch my videos? Do any of you here watch my videos and it's surprising to you how long you can watch? Yes. You're able to watch it longer than other people's videos? Isn't that bizarre that I can put out a 3-hour video, and while there will be a couple complaints in the comments, it's too long, which are the people that are never going to spend money with me anyway, never. There's probably, like, okay, let me ask a question. This is actually, this is great feedback for me. Is there any of you in here that get annoyed when I put out long videos, but you still came to this event? So out of the room, 1, 2. Okay, so out of this full room, and sorry, apologies, but nonetheless, 2 people. Now, out of the people, by the way, as another quick side point, out of the people who watch my videos, what percent do you think get annoyed by the length? I'd say it's a high percent. They're annoyed by the length. And yet, buyers-wise, the buyers want more, okay? So I'm feeding something custom for the people that spend. let me ask you a question. You ever watch like a guy like say Bill O'Reilly? Do you remember he was a conservative commentator, right? Do you guys remember him? And he made a lot of people very angry. I remember I used to watch him and I think, how is this guy okay with the fact that like half the country hates him? How's he okay with that? Do you ever wonder that about me? Because I used to wonder that about him. Probably some of you wonder that about me, right? How is Owen okay with what he does? The reason that you get okay with it is because as you zone in on the people that are paying your bills, you don't care what the other people think. Bill O'Reilly was never going to get a liberal to watch him anyway. They were never going to watch his program anyway. What does he care? They're not supporting him. Somebody that wouldn't watch my 1 hour video isn't supporting me. I don't care that it annoys them. They probably think I make money from YouTube ads. The only ads that we have on our videos are if it's for music. You think that our content for guys is going to get monetized on YouTube? You need to learn how YouTube works. Okay, it's hilarious that people think that. We don't get a dime from that. I don't care about their view or their sub at all. I care if they're going to become a client. So I'm going to put stuff out there for people that really want it. Again, how do I do that? Let's bring it full circle. What I'm doing is I'm coming in sharp with a certain vibe, a certain energy, and I'm lulling someone quickly out of their vibe into my vibe. This is no different than when you're meeting somebody and dating and you've got to quickly pull them in your vibe and quickly make them want more of what you have to offer. They've got to want more. You have to have, say the word energy signature. Say that with me. Energy signature. So a lot is. Part of the challenge that you had yesterday is you've been not even cultivating an energetic signature because you're afraid that you might get too much attention. So anything that would make any kind of impact, you're hiding from it, which makes you a bit of a blank slate. So that's why we're going to have to build this or zone in on the things that you're hiding, okay? But we will do it, okay? We will do it. Oh, yes. So, okay, so you get the general idea here, right? So what I'm basically doing, if you think about it, is I'm speaking with conviction, I'm using intonation, I'm using projection, I'm using energy, I'm coming in sharp as attack, and I just start talking. I realize that it doesn't matter that much what I say. When I do my free tour videos, for example, I know it doesn't matter that much what I say because for the most part, most of the people watching it are people who just like the vibe and they just kind of want to get recalibrated or resunk to that sort of general vibe or energy. How do I know this? Like I said, Anthony Robbins. Most of you got, like, I've literally been to almost all of his programs. I've read his huge, like 500-page books or whatever they are. And I don't know what the 6 human needs are. If after $30,000 in personal and his programs were great. If after $30,000 in live events or whatever I paid, I'm also friends with a lot of his staff, okay? And after me reading his books, and I still don't know the 6 human needs, what does that tell you about how people really learn? They learn a lot of it through energy. So it doesn't matter that much what you say. Okay, you've got to have great content, but that's just one piece of the puzzle as far as being a teacher. And as far as meeting people socially, the less you have your ideas cultivated, the better. Why? Because it's purely about the vibe. It is purely about energy. Attraction in dating, particularly, is pre-verbal. Before human beings could talk, how do we communicate? Probably through grunting, growling, little random pitches in the voice, and energy. That's why humans are evolved to feel each other's energy very much. But society trains us to condition that out of us.
于意见领袖而言啊，内容的产量是当下最重要的一个因素啊。只要不断的输出高质量的内容，才能在自己的领域里保持影响力。我们的粉丝呢，之所以关注你，是因为喜欢你这个人，喜欢你传递的能量，而不是你讨论的一个话题。就像安东尼·罗宾斯的粉丝，他们可能记不起他的一个理论，但是却能从他们的演讲中吸取勇气和力量。就像泰勒在视频中展现的那种不羁无畏和自信，会让观众也想要打破束缚，勇敢的做自己。这种感染力是一种潜移默化的影响，不需要语言就能引起共鸣的。当然在视频里呢也说，如果说你是个销售，你去展现个人的魅力的时候呢，制造这种紧迫感是非常重要的。这种紧迫感来自于你自身的一种力量，你对所做之事的一种热情投入。当你全身心的投入的时候啊，你的客户也会被你的热情打动。比如说你在自媒体的一个创作中，开头的几秒钟最为关键，这决定了观众是否愿意去看。因此啊，我们平时在创作视频的时候啊，视频的开头就能迅速的进入状态，要用饱满的情绪和洪亮的声音呢去吸引观众。这需要的前提呢，就是我们去积累 能量，调动情绪，让自己处于最佳的状态。在整个沟通过程中呢，我们要不断的去推销自己的理念，争取观众的注意力，因为人的时间和精力是有限的，如果你不能快速的吸引到他们可能就会转向其他的内容。对于任何形式的社交都是这样子的，好吧？很多情况下，人们更看重的是一种情绪的体验，而不是信息的本身。在社交领域呢，语言的作用呢更加有限，吸引力主要来自于氛围、能量和语言之外的东西。这可能是因为人类在进化的早期主要就是靠声音的音调、节奏和能量来交流，而不是复杂的语言。我们天生就具有感知能量的能力，只是在社会进化的过程中逐渐的压抑了这种能力。所以说，人们往往是通过能量来学习的，而不是说具体的一个内容。所以在社交互动中你传递的态度、情绪、状态等非语言的信息，往往比具体说了什么更能影响对方对你的印象和感受。比如说一个自信、从容、积极向上的人，哪怕只是随意的聊一些家常，也能让人觉得非常的舒服。相反一个充满了这种负面情绪的人，即使侃而谈，也很难吸引到别人。好，这就是本节课的一个内容。下节课我们来看一看泰勒他带领学员们做实操的一部分，如何通过将自己融入语言来提升演讲和沟通的能量和影响力。